Hello, everyone, and welcome. Right, it's our live show where I get to review some websites. So I'm really excited again to be on the show today on Saturday. So before we begin, please do let me know if you can hear me loud and clear, or if I need to make some adjustments in my volume. So do leave a comment in the comments box and let me know. Okay, looks like the sound is brilliant. Okay, fantastic. All right, so welcome to our okay, looks like everything is okay. Okay, fantastic. All right, welcome guys to the show. I'm glad you're here joining me on the show. If you could do me a favor, please, and share this live stream, I'll really appreciate it so we can get as many people to watch the show as possible. Okay, so before we begin, this show is brought to you by DiviCake.com. Check out their huge selection of Divi themes, layouts, and plugins. The link to that is in the show notes below. And also, there's a few things I'd like to mention before we start the show. So we have a few things going on here. If you don't have hosting or you want to switch your hosting, I have a special offer here from InMotion Hosting. They are offering 57% discount. And if you buy your hosting using my link in the show notes below, I will give you full access to Divi University. All you have to do is to send me an email with your receipt, and I'll give you full access to the course. And also, if you want to take your design levels to the next level, I have a Divi course which will pretty much show you everything that you need to know about Divi in order for you to design awesome looking websites. So again, that has a coupon code DV50. So if you go to the link in the show notes and you put that coupon code, you'll get that course at 50% discount. Okay, and also one more thing, if you're new to web design, I have a free WordPress mastery course. So it's not just all about buying the courses. I have a free WordPress course, which again, you can link, the link to that is in the show notes below. So you can just click the link and sign up absolutely free. Okay, so let's begin the show. So we are broadcasting on Facebook and also on YouTube. Right, so we have Mark saying hi. We have Dastgir, I think. Yes, Amir, Gagan, Theen, Agante. Awesome. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's good to see you on the live show. All right, so let's start off by talking about our first website here. This website was submitted by Lauren. And by the way, before I go into reviewing this website, if you want your website reviewed, please leave that in the comments box below, and I'll add it to my list of websites that need to be reviewed, and I will do that free of charge for you. Okay, fantastic. We also have Scooby that has just joined us from London. Nice to see you. Thank you very much for tuning in. Okay, so the first website here we're going to take a look at today, it was submitted by Lauren. And let's take a look at the website right now. So this is the website. I'll just make sure I'm in full screen. Okay, so this is the website we are looking at today. So first of all, when we come to this website here, affordable designs and creations made to fit you. That is very good because you're trying to communicate what this website is about as soon as someone gets to the website. Now, the rule of thumb here is this is also known as a value proposition. What you want to do here is to make sure that the message that you're communicating has an image that goes along with it. So right now you have this background image here. Yes, it's beautiful, but because this is affordable designs and creations, you want to have something that sort of like ties in with that design aspect of your website. So it's very important to make sure you have an image that works alongside with that. Okay, so moving on here. I mean, this is fine. The way you've created these services. You've got marketing tools, web design, brand identity. Now, there's one thing here that you may want to make a quick fix to, and that is adding a drop shadow to the text here. There's no need for that because this is black and then a gray drop shadow. I don't think that's bringing any design aesthetic to this, so I would just pretty much get rid of the drop shadow. Okay, and moving on here, this seems okay. Now, on the bottom here, on the left side and the right side, there's just too much text. So what you want to do is to add pretty much a basic description of what you're trying to say here, and then that needs to be communicated by the image. But if you want to say more about the particular item that you're talking about here, you want to have a page which is dedicated to talking about that particular item here, because right now there's just too much to read. And as I move forward here, again, if we take a look here, this text is into this white area. So it may be because this is on a wide screen. So let me just take a look at this. Yeah. So you can see here, as soon as I resize my browser, things are not really aligned. Now you can really see that this text is way too much, okay? So you want to make sure that you minimize the text and link to a particular page if you want to expand on whatever you want to talk about here. And again, you've used a drop shadow. That is not necessary here. And also the use of white space, you want to make sure that you have some padding here on the top of this section because everything seems like it's really suffocated. Okay, so moving on here. Are we using different type of fonts? Let me just double check. Yes. Here you're using a light version. And then here you're using a darker version. So you want to make sure as well that your fonts are consistent. And over here, again, you can see the size is much bigger. So make sure that your text is consistent throughout your whole design, your whole page. That just makes your design look even more professional. Okay, and the bottom here, it seems okay. Let's take a look. And the colors, I think I can see a hint of you using the color palette, but I would go in and revise that as well and just make sure that your colors have great contrast and also you're using them in the right places. Because like here, we have this text, but we don't see it anywhere else. And over here we have these buttons, but again, the buttons here have different fonts on them. So these are the little things that I'm talking about that make your design look more professional. So you want to make sure if you choose a button, that button needs to be consistent throughout the whole page. So having different fonts and different button styles actually just makes the whole page look way, way too busy. So I would really take a look at that. Okay. I'm just going to check, more pages here. So we're on Meet the Designer. Right, so the first thing I would like to see when I come to this page here, which says Meet the Designer, ideally I want to see the face of the designer. I mean, in this case, Lauren, this could be the opportunity to add your image here in this area and, just take time out to get an image or a photo that is taken really well and professionally taken that you can, add onto this area here. And when I take a look at these three areas here, it looks like something is wrong because you have rounded corners on the top, and then on the bottom here, I can see a hint of rounded corners, but it's on a white background. So that's not working. You may want to address that. And also in this section, what I would do is I would add some spaces between these three blocks of text. So you want to make sure you do that. Now, there's also one thing I need to mention here. When you use a light color on a white background, it doesn't work. So you want to make sure that you use a color that is easy to read on a light background. So in this case, this 010203, maybe add it into a circle or add it into a square if you really want to use that color. Because right now, because you have a white background, it's not easy to actually read that. So you may want to take note of that. Okay, so over here again, okay, so I can see here, Lauren, you've added your image here. But again, like I said, you want it nice and big, so so that people can see who that designer is. Because what you've done here is you've added this all the way at the bottom, and it looks like a testimonial. Let me put it that way. So you really want to make it look nice and big, right? And also, again, when it comes to contrast, CEO of Web Regional designer. Again, this color that you've used here is too close to this color you have on the background. So you want to make sure that this color is much, much easier to read. So in Divi, there is a way of actually using your color palette even more effectively. So just go back in Divi and make sure you take use of that. Now, the next thing I want to talk about here is your website width. So right now, the width here, we can see there's just very little space here left, and you've got plenty of space here on the right. So what I would do is I would readjust my width to maybe 1080 pixels, or if you want to go for percentages, I would probably go for like maybe 60 or 70%, and just make sure that throughout your whole page, everything is within that width. Because what you're doing, or what you've done here is, here the width looks fine. I like this, but then we've lost the consistency here. All of a sudden, things are way too wide. If I come here, things are okay. And then if I go down here, you can see the width is much bigger. So you want to make sure everything is, consistent. Okay, so what I'm going to do quickly here is to take a quick look at the comments, just in case we have something that I may miss. Okay, so no comments so far. And guys, please, if you can do me a favor, can you share this live show so that we can get more people, engaging with us? I'll really, really appreciate this if you can do that. Okay, so no questions so far. Let's continue. Right, so over here, again, I've mentioned this on the first page. There's no need for a drop shadow on the text here. And also, you want to make sure that your titles are consistent in terms of font weight and color as well. Because here, we've changed the color. Or I can see here that, these titles are the same color. But it's changing. Here, again, for your logo, you have a different, totally different font. So again, you want to make sure that it's, it's consistent. Now, what you've done is here as well is your logo does not look sharp. Here is where you want to use a program like a vector-based program like Illustrator, because you want to make sure that your logo really stands out and it's sharp. So right now, it doesn't really look, sharp. It may mean that it's zoomed in. That is why that's the case. But you want to make sure that your color is brilliant. And again, if we take a look at this section divider here, I'm not sure if this is doing any justice to this. I think it's overused and the color is just way too much in your face. So what I would do here is to make it very subtle, or just to have a background color here. Okay. And also, if you look at the styles here, you get a nice wave. And then on the top here, it's different. You have a straight line here on the top. So if you want to use these section dividers, use them in the same sort of like style throughout the page. Okay. And let's take a look here. Okay, this is fine. I would add a little bit of breathing space here. So add some padding to this section. Right, so let's move on. Our services. Okay, again, the use of drop shadows. Now, there's an introduction of more colors here. I'm not sure if you're really following the color palette, but if you're not, I would suggest that that's the first thing you want to do, because I'm seeing now quite a lot of colors being introduced onto these different pages. So do just go in and just revise your colors and just make sure that you're using, your colors in the right manner. All right, this is okay. So most of the things I'm going to talk about here, I've already spoken about, like, for example, the drop shadow again, it's not really working there. Right, so the use of images. Now, straight away, when I take a look at this image, I can see it's pixelated. That is because it's not used, you haven't used a high-res image. So make sure you use a high-res image on your website. It just makes the website look more professional. So the image here is not bad. It's a good image, but I would say use a higher res version of the image. Okay, now, you see what you've introduced here on this section. I really, really like what you did here. But now when we go down, you've broken it. Okay, you've added these round corners. They look stylish. Yes, I agree. But you want to make sure that your page is consistent. So if you're going to use this sort of like style, maybe switch it over here, have the image on the left and some text on the right, but maybe even add a different background color, because now you've introduced a totally different sort of like layout. And again, this is way too close to the edge. So on this page here, this is the design services. I would keep things really in a grid where everything is consistent throughout the whole page. So like here, just to quickly point this out, if we take a look at this area here, your grid is right there. But if we go into this section on the bottom, we see that, things are not like lined up. Okay. Now this wave right here, it doesn't even follow the wave that we had on the previous page. So I would keep these waves consistent just to make sure that the design, is consistent throughout the whole page. Now, one principle of design is repetition. So you want to make sure that if you're going to choose a pattern on your website, it's repeating, okay? Because that's one principle of design itself. So you want to make sure that if you're having shapes, you want those shapes to repeat throughout your website. In this case, it's section dividers. Just make sure that style is repeating. If it's having different colors, that's fine. But having totally different types of waves here is just adding too much complexity into your design. Okay, so yeah, again, like this form right here, from how I remember it, it was different on, I think it was the Mid Designer page. So again, when it comes to contact forms, just make sure that everything is consistent. I would even create a global module, which you can use on different parts of the website if you have to add the form on different pages. Okay. Right. So let's go to, okay, let's talk about this section over here. I would actually increase my width just to make sure that my text is easier to read here. It's just way too thin. So just make that width slightly bigger. Right. Right. I really like this. This page is brilliant because what you've done here on the top area is if you use this throughout your whole website where you have that area. Now you see our services here, because this is slightly darker, it's not easy to read on this background. So I would even make it white to make it easier to read. See what you've done here. Your title here works really well. But if we come back here, we see that it's different. Okay. And the one thing also you may need to do is, if you're going to be adding these page titles, if you take a quick glance at the description text here, the size is totally different to what we have here on Work With Us. So this is what I mean. Just have consistency throughout all your pages. If you decide that this is the design you need for your page titles, just make sure that the size is the same, the title is the same. If there's a call to action, it's got the same style, because it just makes the whole website very confusing. Okay. again, how you have your form here is not how you had it on the previous page as well. So just make sure that your forms are really following a standard sort of like flow. Okay, so pretty much, this is a very, very good effort. But like I said, if you just make a few of those tweaks, I think this website definitely will look even better than how it is right now. But I mean, overall, this was really good. This was a very good effort. All right, so before we move on to the next one, I'm just going to take a quick look here and see if we have any questions or comments. Yeah, Adam also says, website looks very hard to read. Yes, that's absolutely true, because some of the text, the way it's being used on the backgrounds, it's quite difficult to read. Mark also says, text hard to read. Yes, Mark, I agree. I agree with you. And by the way, it's good to see you guys. Thank you very much for joining me on this live show. Really appreciate it. Right. Okay. So there's another comment here. Eddie, I think it's Eddie Blee. Right. Says, what do you think about Elementor? It seems it's getting better and better, and Divi is not on the same level anymore. First of all, my opinion on Elementor, I mean, it's a good page builder. There's no doubt about that. And Divi not being on the same level anymore, I don't know what you mean by that, because if you take a look at the amount of development that's being done on Divi, I mean, there's no page builder out there that's releasing all these really good features that make you work faster in designing your websites. I mean, it's way, way ahead of the game. Even in support, 2 weeks ago, they introduced this live support. Again, there's no page builder that's offering that at the moment. So if you get stuck with a feature or something, you can get help very, 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 very fast. So when it comes to page builders, I mean, it depends, what you're really looking for. I think this is more like a choice between like two tools that make the same job. So the one that you're comfortable with is the one obviously you choose. I don't think this is a matter of which one is better or which one does the job better, because if you do that, I mean, there's a lot of things that Divi does very well. Like, for example, the design aspect, you have the better use of the colors in Divi. In Elementor, you don't really have that. Okay, and I'm not just saying this because I use Divi myself and I'm also a contractor of Divi. I'm not saying that based on that. I'm just saying if you really take a look at the features themselves, Divi has way more features than any other page builder out there. Yes, Elementor is introducing more features, no doubt about that. And of course, it is a competitor. But if you want more of the design aspects of your website and you want to make it look beautiful and professional, I think Divi has more tools to that. But of course, things may change. This IT and online stuff is dynamic. Things change very fast. But at the moment, I would say Divi has a really strong, solid ground. And they've been out there as well for a very long time. It's over 10 years, I think. So yeah, I mean, that's my take on that. Yosef, I think, says it's okay to build full website from only HTML, CSS. It's absolutely fine to build your website with HTML and CSS, but why spend, let's say, a whole day coding, right? If you can just do it quickly with WordPress. This is why we use a combination of WordPress and a page builder like Divi in this case. Because if you are going to hand code, of course, that's showing your skill set, okay, that you can code. But if you're going to be building websites, definitely you want to make sure that your time is an asset here, because you don't want to be spending a lot of time coding a page from scratch where you can just do it easily with WordPress. Okay, 7D Web Design says the color palette could be a bit more minimalist because of the strong purple color. It's nice purple picked. It needs a lighter accent colors. Yes, I agree with you, and I also touched on that a bit. The color palette is a bit, it needs to be looked at again. But thank you very much, 7D Web Design, for your contribution. Appreciate it. And again, if you have anything to say with these layouts and designs, please do add them in the comments, because this is a conversation, and you may bring out something that I may haven't seen or noticed. So it's always good. I'll keep an eye on these and just read them out as we go. Right. Monique says time is money. Absolutely. Time is money. Right. Quartz Training and Learning Management Solutions says live support is awesome and has helped me a few times now. So great. Yes. So these are the things that I'm talking about when it comes to page builders. You just have to choose something that you can be supported with. There's a ton of videos. Again, if you take a look at Divi, there's a ton of videos. I have a lot on my own channel, on the Elegant Themes channel, and there's also some documentation. So once you get started with Divi, there's a lot of help out there. Ratapula says, could you convert that section into a global section so that you can only have it fit the content and not the appearance? Yes, global sections. Yes, you can create global sections, and then you can just apply them to whatever part of the website you are designing. All right, great. So let's move on to the next website, and it is by Ratapula. I hope I'm pronouncing it well. So sorry about that if I'm really messing it up. Okay, so let's switch over here to the website. So, right, so this is the website we're taking a look at next, and this was submitted by Ratapula. Right, so first of all, the logo here is way too big, because you don't want to make your logo be the focus of your website. The focus of your website should be your message. What is the website about? So within about 3 seconds, the visitor to your website needs to know what your website does, or what your company does, what service you provide, or what the website is about in 3 seconds. Okay? And this can be done using great imagery. It can also be done with a very good message, and sometimes even a video. So in this case, I'm just drawn to the logo. And, in most cases, in fact, the logo doesn't bring any value to what it is that you offer on your website. So take away that focus onto the logo and create a much stronger value proposition. Because over here, I know this is probably, I don't know what language this is. It could be Spanish. I don't know. And there's no way for me to translate this. But that's not the point. I mean, I'm just looking at this website in terms of how it's laid out. So that's what I'm going to judge, or that's how I'm going to review the website. Right. So over here on the top, like I said, make the logos smaller. And your navigation here, the use of blue throughout this is way too much. So I would have maybe this top part white, and then have this blue as the navigation, just to separate the website a bit, because right now the colors are just way too close. Now, if we take a look here, just by looking at this, I would say maybe this website is something to do with maybe pets, or in this case, maybe it's to do with dogs. And I can also see that from the logo here. And I was able to deduce that just by taking a look at this background image, okay? And obviously, the logo. Now, this background image here that you've used, first of all, it's pixelated. You want to make sure that you use an image that is nice and full res to show that message. And in this case, I would not even use this image, to be honest. If this website is about pets, I want to have nice big images of those pets, okay? Because that makes it even more attractive. So this page here has more of text than images. So that needs to be flipped around. You need to have a bit more images and and less text. So you can see here, you know, there isn't much images on this page. Okay, and if we take a look here on the bottom, we also have the bone. Again, you could actually do something even more creative here by just adding, you know, like an image of maybe the dog, and then having the this form over there. And you've made this form really, really big. I mean, it's not really necessary. Just divide that section into two and have an image that supports the contact form. Right, and also the colors, the way the colors are used here, I would say it's not really working. I would use a subtle, you know, color palette, because this, I mean, the way you've used the colors here, like for example, the border that you've used here, it's not really working. And also this dark gray, again, just taking a look at the logo. I mean, the colors in the logo are not used pretty much on anywhere else on this site. So there's quite a lot of colors that are going on this page. Okay, so let's move on to the association. Okay, this is much better. But again, these images here are not high res. They really need to be high res images. Okay. And over here, the way you've added your image, I would go in and rearrange the image to make sure that you're not cutting, you know, like the eyes. So you're showing more of the pets in this case, rather than, you know, pretty much cutting it all off. And here, if you want to add a title to this page, you have it here anyways, right? So I would not have a background here and have it in this area, okay? Or if you want to do it in a different way, I would add a shadow here on the bottom, like a drop shadow, gradient, sorry, and add this text as white on this area, okay? Over here, now you've introduced the pets. We can see what this is about. And what I'm also seeing here is your text is not aligned to the left. I'm not sure in Portuguese if you read from, this is not even about it, okay? Because I was thinking maybe you read from left to right, but this is not the case. So this text here needs to be aligned to the left, okay? Because that's how we normally read. So I would fix that. And let's take a look. This video here, okay, it's fine. Okay. Now, I know you have this sidebar here. I don't see what benefit this sidebar is bringing, to be honest, because you have your navigation here on the top. So I would actually have, get rid of this navigation here, of the sidebar, sorry, and just have you talk about the association better on this page, because you do have a video here, and this video seems like it'll do a very good job of explaining, what the organization is about. And what I've also noticed here is your video is not playing. So you want to make sure that if you add any elements on your website, especially if it's live, you want to make sure that everything is working okay, because that is very, very important. That's one of the put-offs. When people get to a website, they click on something and it doesn't work. So you want to make sure that everything is working okay. And over here, we also have this icon. I'm not sure why this icon is there. So I would, really perhaps maybe even get rid of it, to be honest. And I've also noticed something here. On this page, if in the navigation here, this navigation looks way much better. I'm not sure if you changed this while I was giving the review. Let me just go back to the home page. Okay, so it's designed differently in the inside pages. And again, that's something that I want to touch on. When you design your header area or your navigation area, it needs to be pretty much consistent throughout, okay? Don't have a different design here, and then when you go into the inside pages, it looks way different. But I prefer the way you've done it here, okay? This is much better. This is what you could have done on the home page. Okay, so events. Again, the use of images here, I think this could be made even more exciting when you have high-res images. And rather than have all this text in the actual image, minimize the text or add the text description below here, okay? And what you've also done here is the use, this section here, I think that looks nice, but it needs to be an image which is high res, because I can see it's pixelated even though it's faded. Okay, and this page here is made, I think it's almost full width. Again, that's not consistent, because if I come back here to the association, your width is way different to what we have on the events. So again, that's something that you need to really make sure is consistent throughout your design. Okay, so let's go to the services page, and right, I won't speak about this again because I think I've mentioned this already. The images that we need to use here needs to be consistent. Now you have a background image, a background for the title here, which we didn't have before. And again, we need an image that goes in here to make it even more exciting. Okay, the services page here it's not too bad. But I'm not a big fan of this sidebar because I'm not seeing any benefit that this is bringing. So I would actually, even these social media icons, I would actually have them within this page here rather than have it on the side, because it's not really showing me much. And again, here, this subscribe thing, this could be added here on the page on its own section with a beautiful opt-in, because right now this doesn't look very, very appealing. Okay. So I noticed you got a video here. Is this coming from Facebook? I think it's coming from Facebook. And again, I would add this some way, somehow on its own section. Okay, let's go on to the next page. So you see what I'm talking about here. Again, the width of this page is totally different. It's now way too wide. And let's just test this and see if this is working. Okay, see, this seems to be working okay. Okay, so I will just add some consistency here by just making sure everything has the right width size. Okay, so let's take a look at the last page here on the contact page. So here again, you want to have an image if you're going to be keep consistent with what we have on the other pages. And we don't have these icons with a drop shadow. It's not really necessary because they are already on the contact page. And this form here and this information here on the right needs to be up here, because that's what people need to see when they get on the contact page. Okay, and like I said in the beginning, the use of this blue is just way too much. In fact, on the bottom here, I could just add maybe a very light gray, but the footer here looks fine. And if you're going to have this as your footer, that needs to be consistent throughout your whole design. And you can do that. In fact, you've done it, I think. It looks like it's consistent. Yes. Okay. So this is really consistent. So that's fine. So the footer area is perfect. Right. So if you make those changes, in fact, before I summarize this, I'm just going to take a quick look here and see what everyone else is saying. Quartz Training and Learning Management Solution says, I would like to my site reviewed. Okay, if you want your site reviewed, in the comments box, there's a link which says submit your website for review. If you click on that, you just add your name on the form and your email address, and I'll be able to review your website for you. Seven Web Design says, that's a nice touch with the keywords. I'm not sure which keywords, 7D Web Design. What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Yosef again is saying, can you take a look at my site? There's a link in the description, in the video description. If you can do that, I will add your website to the list of websites that I'll be reviewing. Right, I missed some comments here. Wow. Right. I have to go to the top here and just go through the website. I mean, sorry, the comments. So we've got some feedback here from Ratapula saying the client wanted it that way, even though I told him that it would be better to be smaller. The language is Spanish. Okay, thank you very much for letting me know that. Now, when it comes to working with clients, this is something that, to be honest, I found very, very frustrating. Okay, because I also used to have my web design agency, but it's like the clients are coming to you and they want to be the designers. And this is one of the most annoying things that you can ever have when it comes to your clients. So I would have a client that would say, I want my logo big. So that was like one of the most common ones. I want my logo really nice and big, as if, you know, the logo is what you're selling. No, it's the product or the service that you're selling. So that needs to be communicated better and not really the image. So if we take a look at even these top corporate websites like even Nike or whatever it is, the focus is not on the logo. The focus is on whether it's the running shoes or whether it's the trainers. That's where the focus is. It's on the athlete that promotes that particular item that they're trying to sell or promote. So it's not really the logo. So that's one challenge you can get, and I know what you mean because I've been through this. But if only, but you have to be strong now and say, look, I'm the doctor. You've come here. You've got a problem. I would need to give you the solution, and this is where designers, this is where we come in. We are giving design solutions to the client, because if they want a website like that, surely, you know, it's not going to convert very well, and it won't work, because you know what's needed for a website to work, but the client thinks they know. So this is where you sometimes you really have to be firm and just let them know, because what will happen is you're going to have a portfolio of websites that you know don't look great, but you just had to design them because that's what the client wants. Okay. Mark says, he says the client wanted the logo that way. How would you respond to that? Yeah, I mean, if the client wants the logo that way, I would give the client a few examples. So I would give maybe 5, 6, 7 examples of successful companies, maybe even within the same niche that client is from, and say, look, here are websites that are doing very well online. Look at how their logos are presented. So that's one way you can, you know, show your client that the way they're choosing is not the right way. Monique here has a very good suggestion, saying maybe you could show your client a mock-up of the smaller image and then the client would see side by side. Just a thought. Again, that would work very well, but sometimes you do have clients that are just, you know, difficult for the sake of just being difficult. But that's an option that could work as well. Mark says, has anyone tried Coolors for color palettes? Yes, absolutely. That's what I use. And I've done a few videos on Coolors. It's very, very cool resource. In fact, let me just show some of you, if you haven't seen this website. It's really, really cool. So I'm just going to switch over here so you can see what is happening on my screen. So this is the website. So you can see my color palettes here. Divi University, quite a few like my membership websites. So I've actually created my colors from this color palette. And the one thing I like about this is when you press the space bar, it actually cycles through colors that work well together. So as you can see, as I'm going through this, you know, you get really beautiful contrast in your colors. And this is a great tool to use. So you can just keep pressing the space bar until you find what you're looking for. And also it has a search option where you can search for like websites within a particular niche. So let's say, for example, you're trying to design a website in the baking industry. you can just search for bakery or chocolate and it shows you colors, a color palette that works like that. So it's a very, very good resource and I highly recommend it. Okay, let's take a look here. Okay, great. So let's move on. Before I do that, in fact, let me just make sure here that right. Okay, so let's continue. So if you're just joining us, this is our Saturday show where I do website reviews. So we've already done a website which was submitted by Lauren. We've just completed another website right now. So we're going on to the third website. So guys, please again do me a favor. If you can share this, I'll really appreciate it. So you can share it on Twitter, or on Facebook, or anywhere that you can share this. I'll really, really appreciate it. Okay, so now it's time to move on to the next website, and this website here was submitted by I think it's Sadaf. Hang on. I think I've got the wrong website here. Best Juice Cafe. Yes. Sorry about that. Right, Best Juice Cafe. This is the website now that we are going to be reviewing. So this was submitted by Sadaf. I thought I'd mixed up the names for a moment there. Okay. What happened here? Oh, I think he gave me a specific link, to be honest. Let's see if we can go to the home page. Great. Okay, so we can go to the home page. So first of all, my first impression when I get to this website is wow. And the reason why I say wow is because just take a look at the use of images. This is fantastic. You know, it's appetizing. The colors are nice. They're dark. They work with the theme. So whenever you want to design websites like to do with food or to do with cakes or to do with the bakeries or whatever it is that's food related, you got to make sure that you're using like browns, greens, those like appetizing colors and reds. So this website here, it does a very, very good job of that. And if we take a look at the use of this section divider, I think that's fantastic as well. So I really, really like what is happening here. Over here on the top section, the header area, again, that looks really, really nice. Done a very good job, and I really, say thumbs up to that. If we come over here to the bottom, again, everything looks very, very consistent. The use of colors, the fonts, I can see here, because we have this lighter background, this faded background, the text is white. We can read it. The contrast is beautiful. So when you come to this website, you're not struggling to read. And this is what I was talking about initially when I was saying when you have an image, it needs some text that sort of like goes along with it. So this is exactly what is happening here. There isn't too much text. There's just enough text which is supported by an image. Okay. The one thing that I would like to say about this image is it doesn't look like a high-res image, but that's a minor thing. But overall, this looks beautiful. Okay, let's continue to the different sections. Now, with this section here, I would actually add some breathing space over here in the top. But again, this could work. In fact, you know what? I take that back. I think this works as it is on this section. Okay, so moving on here. Again, what people are saying, brilliant. Okay, the use of testimonials here is great. Nice. I really like this. Yep. I really, really like this page. This is beautiful. Let me see if we can go to the next tab here. Again, consistency. I like this. Now the use of this area here, you've made an image which you've faded, and again the title, the page title here is centered, and this looks beautiful. I really like what you've done here. Okay, and moving down here again, the use of nice, beautiful pictures, fantastic, and then you have a description here. And again, this is consistent because I saw this section on the main page, which is great. Coffee and juice. Take a look at this page. Again, great. I would actually add an image here, just like how you had it on the About Us, because right now you've only got a color, but this could mean that you're still working on this. I'm not sure about that, but that's what I would do here. This is fine. Everything is like within your width, same width, so that's great. Okay, so I can see this, this may be work in progress. But in terms of the layout and what I can see so far, this is working. It's great. The font as well that you've used here is working well with the type of website. So I'm just going to check the next link here, main food. Yep, great. Oh, this is good. Okay, let's take a look at the gallery. Again, this is nice. Great. I really like this. I really, really like this. I can see that there are some areas that has work that still needs to be done. But overall, the way you've laid everything out, even the contact page here is nice, it's clean, it's beautiful. So overall, I would say this is a very good website. It's well put together, and I really like, let me just click on the home page. I really like the fact that when you get on the main page, you don't even have to read for you to know what this website is about. And the use of images here is really striking. It's powerful, and it makes a massive difference. So, no, great design, Sadaf. Thumbs up for this. Okay, so if you agree with me, let me see your comments in the comments box. What do you guys think about this design? I mean, do you think it's well put together? Is there anything that you think Sadaf here can change or update on this website to make it even look better? Okay, so I'll be taking a look at the comments now. Monique says, really nice. Text complements images. Yes, I agree with you there. Mark also says, good use of imagery below header. Yes, I also agree with that. I mean, that's great. Lee says, looks good. Brilliant. So you can see here that Sadaf here has made the website look fantastic by choosing great images. Okay. Oh, and of course the layout also looks brilliant, but the use of images is very, very important, and a lot of designers really underestimate the power of images. So we can see here, as in this example of this website, that the use of images there was really, really powerful, and this is why it has, you know, a lot of consistency. It looks really well designed, and the colors also work well together. Now, just imagine, right, that this website had a lot of blues. Do you think that it would work? Absolutely not, because this is where color also plays a role depending on how it's used. Okay, so in this case, Scooby-Doo says, now I'm hungry. Fantastic use of images, nicely laid out, well done, designer. You see, so we can see here even from everyone here commenting, they're all consistent. They're saying it's a great design, it's a good design, there's consistency, it's working, it's working, it's working. When a design works, it really works. So this is where now paying attention to those things that we're discussing, or those things that I'm suggesting to change, is very, very important. They may be very subtle, they may be very easy things to do, but until you apply them, this is where you can get to see how it's actually working on your website. Okay, Ali says, just a suggestion, a lighter color for header background to make logo more visible. Right, let me just take a quick look at that and see. I'm just going to switch back over here. Yes, you may add a lighter color, but the reason why this logo stands out is because the logo has this white on it, so you can still see that it says restaurant cafe, right? Juice and coffee. So this can still be seen here in the background. So it may not be really necessary to make it lighter because this dark color here on the top is blending very well as it goes down here on the page. But yes, every time you have a dark logo, you want to make sure that your background is light. And if you have a dark background, you want to make sure that your logo is nice and bright so it's easy to read. Okay, let's take a look here. Quartz Training and Learning Management Solution says, I would have changed the width to a little wider. That's the only thing I would have said. Yes. Now, sometimes, and I'm guilty of this as well. Sometimes when I design my my website, I get lazy sometimes when it comes to making sure it looks great on all layouts. So on my 27-inch monitor, it may look like, oh, everything is looking great, but majority of people may not use like 27-inch monitors. So if you're designing your page on a laptop, for example, which I do sometimes when I'm at home, the workflow totally changes because the screen size is now much smaller. So this could be that you're taking a look at this from a smaller screen, but this is the safest way to go. I mean, by default in Divi, it's 1080 as the width. So sometimes when I'm designing it on my page, it looks like it is way too narrow. But maybe that was a choice based on the majority of people that use a specific, width size. But yes, I agree with you. Sometimes when you design this on a big screen, you may want to just increase it a bit just to, make it fill the space a bit more. Right. Let's take a look here. Rose also says, I like the website. Great. Right. Okay. So moving on, let us go on and take a look at the last website, which was submitted by Chantel. Okay. I'm just going to close these tabs here and make sure that I'm not right. Okay. So the website now we're going to take a look at was submitted by Chantel. So first of all, when I came onto this website, I was greeted with this pop-up, and straight away I would go and fix that pop-up because it's not really working. It needs a background color or a background image to make this work. So I would go straight away and work on that because if this is a live website, you want to make sure that everything is working on the live website. Okay, again, the images here are really, really striking. So nice. I like this. Okay, and this is the slider. Right. On the slider here, this is where you have to be really, really, really careful. Now, let me explain this. I can see here that these images are repeating. So you want to make sure that your images don't repeat because as you can see on my site here, some of these web images don't look well. Like this one here is beautiful. This one has repeated. Okay, so some are repeating, some aren't. This one is repeating and this one. All right, so as you can see, these images that we have here are repeating. So I guess if I adjust my width here, it may be better. In fact, let me just close Photoshop. Don't need this. So let me just adjust this and see. Right. So if this was the width of the website, then it would work. Okay, so we can see here, this is perfect. So this is the perfect size. And I guess when Chantal was designing this website, this is sort of like the width that she was probably using. So you want to make sure that your images are not repeating, and you can just maybe fill that space with your image. Right. Other than that, the images, the quality is fantastic. I really like this. And the slide as well has the text that goes with it, which pretty much describes what it is on the slider. So this is fantastic. I like again, the use of images here is brilliant. Now, moving on. It also has a description here, which I think is great. And the use of fonts, again, I can see here there's consistency with your fonts, which is great. Now, moving on. In fact, let me just close this pop-up here. Now, moving on. Here now, what you've done here is fantastic. So we can see that each image here has to do with a particular section like this, for example, wine tours, bike tours, private travel, group travel. I think this is brilliant, the way you've laid it out. I really like that. Now, over here, this white space, I think it has really taken away the flow that you had going on here. Okay, so I would get rid of this white line here completely, and maybe add a section which has a full color on it with some text, maybe from here, and maybe another image that supports it. But just having this line here, it looks like like a divider. And because it's white, it has broken the flow of that page. So I would really get rid of this. Okay, now over here on the bottom is again, we can see there's a slider. And what has happened here is it's also repeating. Although the images are beautiful, it's just the repeat that you need to just really take care of. Okay, moving on. Right, this is beautiful. I like this this section. The only problem is, and I think this is coming from the blog. Yes, this is coming from the blog. Your images that you're going to use on as your featured image, they need to be high res. So you can see this one here has broken again the flow, because I was told my eye was focused on looking at these beautiful images right here from the top, going through this, and then when I get here, it's like I have a pixelated image, and I'm saying to myself, no, that's not really working. So make sure the images that you use here are all high res. Okay, so moving on, happy travelers. Awesome. I like the way you've done the testimonials here. This is brilliant. It's different. And I can see you've used negative margins here. I think that's fantastic. I really, really like that. Yeah, well done. That's beautiful. Right. And also the title here, the way you've done it, I think this is brilliant. Where you can find us. You got a map there. Great. Right. So the one thing I want to say here towards the end of the page is the images, they're fine, but this text now that you've added here, this trip collection and the travel Italy authentically, that again, it doesn't have breathing space here. I would actually have maybe these images, this gallery here, or these images here, without having these top bars on the top, because that's just really taking away how the page really looked like as we were going through the page. And I would also find a way of adding this trip collection and travel Italy authentically. Maybe even get rid of it, completely. So this would be a section that's right below this beautiful image right here. So that's how I would do that. And as you can see here, when you take a look at this image, it's beautiful because, again, it's not repeating. So this whole view is fantastic. I really, really like that. So that's what you want to add on your sliders, okay? So that's what you want to do on your sliders. On the bottom here, this is fantastic. It's nice. It's simple. It's clean. I really, really like that. Okay, so that's what I would do. And again, the logo here, the way you've done it, it's different. If I were to take a look at this website, in fact, when I landed on this website, I couldn't tell if this website was a Divi website, because you've made all these customizations, which I think is brilliant, because you don't want to come to a website and and feel like this website is made by Divi. So you've changed your fonts, you've used a different way of showing your logo, and this is working really well. So you've done a great job there. Okay, so I'm just going to go to some of these pages. I won't go into every single page because this website is quite, looks like it's quite big. Right, so these links are not working. I'm not sure if this website is still under development because it looks like these links don't work. So Chantal, I'm not sure if you know this, but these links are not working. Oh, actually they are. Okay, so that's the bike tours. Now look at that. I mean, the image is fantastic, but what I would do here is I would try and be creative with how I add my description here. So as you can see, it's not easy to read here on this bicycle. So what I would do is I would either take this text here, this bike tours, maybe add it here on the bottom left or on the bottom right with a slightly dark background, okay? Because right now, it's not easy to read on this image. Although the image is fantastic and beautiful, it's just that the way you have your title here, I would just improve that. Right, now moving on here. So the one thing I want to suggest on this page is your width is way too wide, okay? What you've done here is you've made the width way too wide. And as you can imagine, if someone is reading, they have a long way of reading this until they come back to the beginning of the line. So definitely this is something that needs attention. So make sure your width is about 70 or 60%, or maybe 1080 or even or 1100 pixels, and everything is within that on your page. The image here on the top is fine, but it's just that here on the bottom, everything needs to be within that bounding, row size, okay? Because now we can see this image, and what we have here on the top, it has lost its hierarchy, okay? And over here as well. So this text and the images, they're not really like in line. So once you sort out the width, then this would be fine. Yeah, so definitely the whole page needs to be sorted out. I really like the use of images here. The images are great. And the one thing I would say about the images as well is keep them all like the same orientation, because here you have like more like a square, and then here you have more of a rectangle. So I would keep these pretty much the same to have consistency in my design. Okay, now this image here is brilliant. It's really, really nice. I would do more here on this newsletter. Okay, so I would do a bit more work here on this newsletter, because right now the text is like everywhere. So I would just put everything together, make it easier to read, and a good call to action. Okay, so this was the tours. Let's go to Why Us. Okay, so this description here works because the background image is slightly dark, so this one is fine. Again, so if you take a look here, this text that you have here is nice, it's clean, it's beautiful. And then, okay, so what you've done here is everything seems to be, within the bounding areas, which is great. Right, so this is what you want to do. So this is now easier to read, as you can see. So that's what you want to do on the previous page that I was talking about, okay? And this again, is taking a bit, it's too wide, and I would add a bit of color in here, or maybe add these in rectangles because it's just too sort of like bland. So I will just add some rectangles here, or maybe even have a background color for this blurbs. So that could work as well. Okay. Let's move on. Let's see if we have another page here. Right, so this is great. So I'm not sure why these sliders here, the image is pretty much filling the whole page, and on the main page it's not. Because if this is what we had on the main page, look how beautiful that is, right? This is fantastic. Look at that. So this, whatever you've done here, is exactly what you want to do on the home page. Okay. So that would, I mean, it's beautiful, definitely. So this is what you want to do on the home page because it's showing the full image on this section. So that's what you want to do. And again, here you can see, as I was mentioning on the previous pages, because you have this width in a good size, you can see now that things are much easier to read here on this page. See, everything is just beautiful. Okay, so use this page as a guide to how you need or the size of the width of the page. So make sure you use this page because this is a great guide. I really like how you've done this page here. Brilliant. Okay, take a look at the blog. Beautiful. Beautiful images. Right, again here, the width is just way too much. So the first article here, you can see it's closer to the edge. As I come here on the bottom, the width is all over the place. You can see here, they're not, I mean, we don't have consistency here. Okay, so I would fix that. I've already spoken about this. I've spoken about that already. So that just those things need to be fixed. Now this one is quite easy to fix because I can see this is a global item. So you can just go in, make the change once, and then this will update throughout the whole website. Okay, FAQ. And again, the text here works because your image is dark, so your white text really stands out. So this is great. Oh wow, I like the way you've done the FAQs. You've really taken time out here to work on this. Now this is brilliant. And I'm sure everyone watching this would agree with that. This FAQ is brilliant. Even the use of the colors, fantastic. I like that. So I'm not sure if you can see this, but every time I click on an FAQ, you can see here the text is black, but as soon as I click on it, it changes color. Right, really like that. So it's the small things that make a big difference. So this is great. Yeah, and then this needs to be fixed. Now here, you don't have to have this newsletter thing and this image here on the bottom. So this FAQ will just work as it is. So if someone comes to this website and they come over here, they know it's an FAQ page and they will just access the FAQ. So you don't need all this stuff here on the bottom, to be honest. Okay, so I'll get rid of that. And also, you have this white line here. It looks like it's dividing this page. So I would totally get rid of that because it's just taken away from this beautiful design. Okay, so finally, let's take a look at the contact page. Nice. Yep, I think this works. Yep. You see, now this stuff here on the bottom is just taken away from the contact page. I would totally get rid of this, to be honest. Get rid of it. Your contact page is perfect with this image here and this area right here and the map. Everything below this doesn't need to be there. Okay, so that's how I would design that contact page. And even here, you can even, if you want to be a bit more creative, add your contact form in this main image here. So that could work as well. So you could try that and just compare and see if this works well. Right, so I'm just going to take a quick look here on the comments and see if there's anything that I missed. Adam says, shouldn't the map be bigger? Yes, I agree. The map should be slightly bigger because the size of the image that we have there on the top is just way too big. And then on the bottom there, the map is way smaller. So I would put a fixed size there on the map. I agree with that, Adam. Scooby-Doo says, I think the font could be slightly heavier, too thin, not easy to read, like on the testimony page. Yes, I had a look at that testimonials page. That could be slightly, or maybe use the regular font. So yes, I agree with that. That could be better as well. Mark says, does Divi use its own slider or a third-party one? Divi has its own slider as a module, so you could use that one. But there's also other options if you want to go for third-party options. And the one I recommend would be the Revolution slider. Okay, so pretty much these are the 4 websites that I have for you in today's episode. So just before we round up the show, this episode is brought to you by divicake.com. So check out their huge selection of Divi themes, layouts, and plugins. The link is in the description below. Okay, so I'd like to say thank you to Lauren, Ratapula, Sadaf, Chantal for submitting your website. I know it's a brave thing to do because it takes a lot of guts to to do that. So I hope my review is seen in a positive way, because that's what this is about. I mean, this is not just me criticizing for the sake of criticizing these websites. So we do this so that everyone else on the show can learn and also see sort of like the trends of what is a good design and what design needs to be improved and where and how. So I'm really glad that we have this opportunity to review this, and I would like to say to everyone that joined me on this show, thank you very much for doing that. I'd really appreciate it. And before we go, I'd just like to say that hosting, if you need like really good hosting, InMotion Hosting has a 57% discount. And if you buy your hosting using my affiliate link, I will give you access to Divi University. Now, there's going to be quite a lot of courses I'm going to add on Divi University. And in fact, I'll talk about Divi University in a minute because there's a few updates that I need to give you. Now, there's also a course called Divi Blueprint 3. This is a course which pretty much teaches you how to use Divi. And also, I have great examples of how a professional website needs to be laid out in that course. And if you buy the course right now, it has a 50% discount, and the coupon code is DV50. So if you use that, that will give you your 50% discount. Right, so Divi University. I know some of you that are members of Divi University. I haven't updated the courses recently. Now, the 2 main reasons to that are WordPress is going to be updating to Gutenberg. It's going to be pretty much a different layout and different way of using WordPress. So it's a radical shift from WordPress. So I'm really waiting for that to change, because if I do the courses now with a different interface, it's going to be very confusing, because this is going to be a totally different interface from WordPress. So I want to make sure that the courses that I make are pretty much in line with the updates that will be happening soon. So that's one reason I haven't updated. Now, the second reason is Divi is also releasing one of their major updates. So again, those updates are very important, because we're going to be able to adjust or design our headers, and also design templates and dynamic content. So these 3 things here are huge. Okay, I mean, those of you that use Elementor, you know that these features are in Elementor already. So these 3 features that I've just mentioned, I would like to include these in the updated Divi Blueprint 3 course. However, if you buy Divi now, when the course comes out, the new course, you will get free access to that course anyways. And this is the right time to actually buy Divi Blueprint 3, because when the new one comes out, I'm going to add even more advanced stuff onto it, and the price obviously is going to be higher. So if you buy Divi Blueprint 3 now, you are grandfathered into the next update. So this is the right time to actually buy Divi Blueprint 3, because once the next version course I'm going to create, I'm going to increase the price on that. So that's for definite. Okay, so there's a few Rose says, what's coming up soon in WordPress? It's the WordPress Gutenberg. This is an update which we were all waiting for, and this is how. This is a massive move from WordPress because they are going to change the way you add content into WordPress using blocks. In fact, there's a video I did on Gutenberg. Maybe if you can have a quick look at that, that will explain even much better than I'm trying to do now. But it's going to change the way you add all your content onto your WordPress website. So this now in combination with Divi is what I really need to make sure is out there before I start creating even more courses. Because if I go into creating a course now, it takes me 2 to 3 months to complete a course, only to update it, a few months after. So I'm just waiting, and I hope you can be patient with me in regards to that. So that is why I haven't really added a lot of courses yet to Divi University. However, there's 2 courses coming out soon: the WooCommerce course and also the membership course. So those ones there are okay to release. So just doing the final touches on that. So those will be available soon. All right, guys. So thank you very much for being with me on today's show. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you again on Wednesday, because Wednesday, that's when we're going to be doing the next reviews. So please do set a date in your calendar for Wednesday, and I'll really appreciate if you can join me again. So thank you very much for watching, and have a great weekend, and I'll see you again on Wednesday. Take care, everyone.